What if the droids saved the Jedi during Order 66? Let's explore the depths of this scenario in the video. After the Battle of Onderon, Republic strategists, including the Jedi, discussed the latest developments. Although it was a Republic victory, they observed troubling changes in the droids' behavior. The droids were better disciplined and employed smarter tactics. There were rumors that the Separatists were deploying a new generation of super tactical droids that were better commanders than the standard droid commanders. The Battle of Onderon confirmed these rumors, as both Saw Gerrera and the Royal Military reported the presence of these droids.
This poses a problem for our strategists. The droids use algorithms to predict our moves and develop countermaneuvers for our tactics. It's why the tricks we use become less effective over time. If they have new commanders, our strategies can become outdated even faster.
Well, I guess we'll just have to be smarter than them.
Unfortunately, things are not that simple. It won't matter how smart we are if these droids can predict our moves. What we need is some intelligence on these droid models. I'm glad you mentioned that, General. I propose a standing order for Republic troops to capture an intact super tactical droid for analysis. That way we can let the boys figure out how they work.
The other officers agreed to this proposal and got their opportunity during the Battle of Ringo Vinda. In the final stages of the campaign, Clone Trooper Tup's inhibitor chip malfunctioned, causing him to activate Order 66 prematurely. The droid commander of this operation, Kraken, noticed this and was ordered by Admiral Trench to capture Tup for examination. However, his transport was intercepted by Anakin, Fives, and Rex. The clones storm the shuttle, cutting down the droid guards. Kraken leaps forward and scores a few blows before Anakin slices off his arms. As the droid stumbles back, he holds his lightsaber against him.
What's going on? What do you know about this clone?
I am programmed to resist intimidation.
Although Anakin wants to destroy him, he knows there is too much data in the droid to risk losing. Instead, he takes a droid popper from Fives and temporarily disables him. They take Kraken back to Coruscant to begin going through his databanks. This proves to be more difficult than they think, as many of the droid's logs are protected, stifling the efforts of the researchers. One person who offers to help is Anakin. Using his years of experience building and modifying droids, he helps the research team crack the codes keeping them out of the databanks. They immediately begin poring over the files and recordings of the droid. One of the most recent ones that got their attention was a conversation between Dooku and Trench regarding Tup. As Anakin and the research team listen to it, they notice the change in Dooku's demeanor after he hears Trench's report. They note how hurriedly he ends the transmission as Tup is kidnapped shortly after.
What are you doing to me?
Getting answers, droid. Now try not to cause too much of a fuss. We don't want to cause a malfunction.
You mean like your soldier?
Careful, droid. That's a living thing you're talking about.
One who had something malfunction in his brain. I saw the situation, Jedi. Look how that clone moved and started acting. He did not simply attack because he wanted to. He could not help himself. How can that happen unless something in his head was malfunctioning? Or someone made him do it?
Anakin can't think of a rebuttal. Although he hates to admit it, the droid raises a good point. Tup's behavior was odd. Instead, he turns his attention back to gathering more information on the super tactical droid. He learns that these command droids transmit signals to other droids, relaying instructions, which is how they can coordinate battles. With this information, Anakin and the other Jedi begin researching how to replicate these commands to try and take control of at least a portion of the droids. Despite this victory, Anakin cannot let himself rest easy as Kraken's words continue to ring in his head. A seed of doubt grows in his mind, especially as he hears Fives mentioning some inhibitor chip. However, the ARC Trooper dies before he reveals more, leaving Anakin with no leads. Palpatine himself visits Anakin after the clone's funeral and assures Anakin that he is not to blame for what happened and that Fives' death was due to the battlefield stress and substance abuse. Although Anakin nods along with what the Chancellor says, he still feels responsible. Palpatine watches this and smiles. While he didn't plan for Five's betrayal, he sees how much of an impact it has had on Anakin and welcomes it, hoping to sow further doubt in his mind. His death leaves Anakin further desiring to stop more lives from being lost. However, while he continues to lead troops into the front lines, Anakin spends all his free time tinkering with Kraken and finding out how to replicate his signal to turn the droids against the CIS. To him, this is the best way to end the war quickly and decisively. Anakin's next encounter with Dooku confirms his fear as he learns that the Count is responsible for creating the clone army. With this knowledge, Anakin decides that if Dooku is meddling with their army, he'll do the same with his. At the same time, going back to his roots and working with the droids feels strangely relaxing to Anakin. After years of fighting, being able to sit down in a workshop feels like a welcome change and reminds him of some of the happier memories of his youth. One person who is not fond of this plan is Palpatine. He sees how much progress Anakin is making and realizes that his success could jeopardize his plans of dragging the war out. So he decides to take action. Rather than confront Anakin directly, Palpatine approaches the Jedi Council.
Esteemed members of the Jedi Council, I know it is not my place to say, but I've noticed concerning behavior from Anakin Skywalker. He seems to have become fixated on studying a tactical droid to recreate its signal to give instructions to the rest of the droid army.
That is correct, Chancellor. It is a strange strategy, but I see no harm in studying.
This is where we disagree, Master Windu. I am concerned for Skywalker as he has become obsessed with the idea. He spends all his time in that workshop of his. I'm afraid it might distract him from his duties. Truth be told, Chancellor, Anakin has gotten into far less trouble there than he usually does. Perhaps for now. I understand the noble intentions of young Skywalker, but such power is dangerous if it falls into the wrong hands. There is no telling what these new tactical droids can do. Perhaps it may learn to gather data from our own systems. Perhaps it's best if this research is postponed until we have a better understanding of things.
Indeed. Unwise it is to leave such data. Send him back on missions. I shall.
Anakin does not take the news well. To him, this research was critical to ending the war, and the Jedi just pulled it right out from under him. All the while, Palpatine is there to provide support and whisper a few words into Anakin's ear. Although he's getting closer to learning about the truth of the Clone Wars, he still doesn't know about Palpatine's involvement, and the Chancellor uses that to his advantage. Palpatine suggests that the Jedi do not want to end the war, as it gives them immense power. He reminds Anakin that it was Sifo-Dyas and Count Dooku who ordered the creation of the clone army, both of whom were members of the Jedi Order at the time. These doubts continue to grow in Anakin's mind, where he carries them with him during the Battle of Coruscant, when he engages Count Dooku.
Wait, young Skywalker. I sense your anger. Do you believe I am solely responsible for the clone army? Sole credit does not belong to me. My master has done much of the work for me.
Enough. I know who you serve. That information will not save you. Dooku gives a small smile.
Are you certain of that? I sense your anger is not directed solely towards me. I know what you are thinking, but you are wrong. Ask yourself, why would that clone of yours kill a Jedi if the Jedi are his creators?
Enough. Anakin, he is lying to you.
If you want the truth, why not look into it yourself, instead of allowing yourself to be led along?
Finish him off. Do it.
Anakin looks up at Dooku, and then decapitates him. As the battle rages around them, Anakin takes control of the invisible hand and lands it on the surface. With that defeat, the CIS retreats. Before he departs, Palpatine pulls Anakin aside. He insists that Anakin should not believe a thing Dooku claimed. He suggests that Tup's behavior might simply be his chip malfunctioning, and nothing more. Anakin says he believes him, but after weeks of uncertainty and doubt, he's unsure what to believe. Secretly, he continues his research, trying to piece everything together. But without any information on the inhibitor chips themselves, Anakin has no leads.
Then perhaps you should get one of the chips.
Easier said than done. I can't exactly ask a clone to just have his chip removed. Not after what happened to Tup.
Then why not get one out of active duty? Count Dooku mentioned clones turning traitors before. Why not recruit one of them?
Anakin ponders Kraken's suggestion, realizing it might be the only way to uncover the truth. He thinks about it. He recalls an incident back on Christophsis and decides to visit an old friend. In a Republic prison, Slick remains hunched on his bunk with an offer to cooperate with his research and win his freedom.
Yeah. And why should I trust a Jedi like you?
Because the way I see it, there are two possibilities. I'm right, in which case you're vindicated for all your beliefs.
And number two?
I'm wrong, and I'm about to be your cellmate. The clone sergeant agrees and is removed from prison under the cover of investigating a possible ring of deserters. Anakin retrieves his inhibitor chip and begins to decipher its codes while continuing his next mission, spying on the Chancellor. For the next few weeks, he managed both missions. Thankfully, it isn't difficult for him to feign anger at the Jedi. With everything that's happening, he still has his doubts about the Order. These doubts only grow as Palpatine hints at new powers of the dark side, ones which can save Padme's life. As he considers this offer, Anakin finally manages to crack the code and sees the hidden commands. Among them is Order 66. His eyes widen as he takes in this news, but tries to keep it hidden until the right time. However, his mind begins to formulate a plan. Slowly, he starts by repairing Kraken. As the days go by, Anakin continues to act as if things are normal, going along with everything the Chancellor is saying until he finally reveals himself. Anakin activates a holo recorder and then clears his throat. Just one question. What is Order 66?
How do you know about that?
I have my sources. Now answer the question.
Your questions will be answered in time.
On your time? But I'd like to hear it on mine. Right now. To emphasize his point, Anakin draws his lightsaber. Palpatine studies Anakin for a moment before responding, his voice calm but firm.
Order 66 is a contingency order embedded within the clone's programming. It is meant to be activated only if the Jedi betray the Republic. It orders all clones to execute their Jedi commanders to prevent treason.
Anakin's face hardens as he processes this revelation. And you were planning on using it, weren't you? To wipe out the Jedi and consolidate your power.
Anakin, you must understand. The Jedi have become a threat to the Republic. They seek to control everything, even you. They fear your power. Only through me can you achieve the power to save Padme.
Save Padme? By betraying everyone I know and love? No, I won't do it.
You've already made your choice, Anakin. You are either with me or against me. Think of Padme. Think of your child.
I will find another way.
There is no other way, Anakin. Join me, and together we can bring an end to this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy.
Palpatine, your reign of deceit ends now. Palpatine takes a deep breath and lunges forward with his lightsaber. Anakin barely manages to block this strike.
I urge you to reconsider. Forget about your investigation and join me
Anakin charges at Palpatine. His strikes are vicious and aggressive as he tries to overpower the older man. The Chancellor meets each swing and pushes them aside, giving him time to activate a code on his desk.
Very well, here is the truth. Your order will fall today. With or without you.
Anakin slashes the button, but it's too late. Order 66 goes out. Anakin reaches for his own comlink and sends his own signal out before leaping to dodge Palpatine's next attack. He slashes at Palpatine, blocks the attack, and counters with his burst of strikes. The Sith Lord moves like lightning, hacking and slashing, preventing Anakin from even blinking. As they duel, Palpatine allows the power of the Force to flow through him. His attacks grow faster and more powerful, while the dark side surrounds him. This is only a taste of what he can do. Once the Jedi start to die, his power will only grow stronger. At first, dozens, then hundreds of Jedi fall. Palpatine feels the power coursing through him as he lets out a shriek and leaps at Anakin. However, his comlink also goes wild as reports pour in about droids suddenly emerging and attacking the clones. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, droids are attacking the clones and defending the Jedi. After learning about the inhibitor chips, Anakin repaired Kraken and convinced him to help. He reminded the super tactical droid that he is programmed to help the CIS, and therefore cannot allow Chancellor Palpatine to win. Kraken then contacted other super tactical droids and convinced them to help. Now hearing about this, Anakin feels his power growing, weathering Palpatine's attacks and then snarling back. He thinks of all the clones he lost because of Palpatine, Fives, Tup, and so many more. These thoughts fill his mind as he begins to gain the upper hand. Palpatine steps back and tries to unleash a barrage of lightning at Anakin, but Anakin blocks these attacks with his lightsaber and begins to walk forward. Electricity sparks around him until they are face to face. He grabs Palpatine by the throat. Palpatine gasps and tries to squirm free, shaking around. As the sparks from his hands die, Anakin drives his lightsaber into Palpatine's heart. The Chancellor shudders and drops to the ground. Without another word, Anakin sends his recording to the Jedi and the Senate as he heads to the Jedi Temple. There, a battle has taken place between the clones, the Jedi, and their droid allies. Kraken stands at the top of the temple with the Masters, directing his orders and holding the line against the clones' assault. Thousands of battle droids of every type have gathered, marching from the dumps and incinerators and coalescing here. Despite the clones advancing on them, the droids have managed to dig in and fortify the place, preventing the clones from making much headway. Anakin wastes no time in joining them, showcasing everything happening in the temple and directing it towards the Senate.
Palpatine is a traitor who wants nothing more than to tear our Republic apart. Look at what he's doing to the Jedi. We need to stop him. In the list of commands I've sent, one of them will allow Vice Chair of the Senate to assume control and stop this.
The Senate calls an emergency meeting, and by overwhelming majority, Mas Amata is declared acting Chancellor. However, with the tides shifting against Palpatine, Amata decides to cooperate with everything and orders 66 to be halted. Suddenly, across the galaxy, clones stop their attacks and look at each other in confusion, wondering what happened. Though many Jedi lost their lives, many more are saved. The peace party led by Padme takes this opportunity to assert themselves, now making a genuine effort to reach a peace deal with the CIS. With Anakin in control of the droids, they can pass more meaningful reforms that prevent another clone war from happening. Anakin, now seeing the full scope of Palpatine's deceit, works tirelessly to rebuild trust between the Jedi and the Republic. His actions ensure that the galaxy moves towards a future of peace and unity, forever altering the course of history. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.